I watched him last night, and after watching it, I think that's when we realized, okay, there's no way Jordan Peele um, directed this because it made absolutely no sense. Come to find out, he just produced it, and people are really good at marketing. That's why they get paid those big bucks. I went into him super excited because, as a woman, um, I don't know what it's like to be in men's sports, especially something as violent and like ultra masculine like football. And I think it's something that is seems to be like a curiosity of a lot of women of wondering what it's like in those locker rooms, what it's like at training, and ultimately something that I think is curious for everyone is what is it like to become a professional athlete and to be in a space, especially something like the NFL, that requires so much of you, so much sacrifice, and so much hard work for you to be a part of it. So, anyways, obviously, because I don't know much about what it's like to be a man, let alone a man in football, let alone a man in professional football, I was super excited about this movie. I really love, well, okay, let me walk that back. I don't really love sports movies, but I like a movie that's exposing an industry in a way where it's like, okay, finally we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room, which is like, for the NFL specifically, this is an industry that is, first of all, causing a lot of damage for their players, and second of all, is something that is considered almost like a religion in the US. And the traditions that are around football games and the way that men follow football and celebrate football and the double standards that go with um, a man following football versus a girl following a boy band, or not that girls don't follow sports, but you get my comparison there. Um, so yeah, so that's what I thought this movie was going to be. I thought it was going to be talking about the NFL and talking about shady things that go on in the NFL, but obviously presenting it from this like horror perspective. Um where did it go wrong? It did not talk about any of that. Um I'm laughing because when we were watching that movie last night, um I think when that movie ended, we were like, I don't know what this was trying to say, and I don't know where we landed. Basically, so for those of you who are watching and want to be spoiled about what this movie's about, this kid named Cameron Cade, um, Cameron Cade is about to get drafted, and he is a first round draft pick. He gets injured. He gets hit in the head by this like crazy maniac fan, I guess, that we learn later. And because of this injury, he kind of seems to be losing his mind, and also he misses out on the combine. If you don't follow football, which I don't follow football, okay, that closely, but I do know these terms just because my husband is super into sports, so that's why I have like a basic understanding of some of this. So basically, college players will go to the combine, or maybe like free agents also. They'll go to this thing called the combine, and the combine is basically you go, you do a bunch of these little like skill drills to prove how fast you are, how strong you are, your abilities, things like that. Cameron goes because he wants to prove himself at the combine after having this injury, which, after watching some videos, some people have said a first round draft pick would never go to the combine because they're already the first round draft pick. Like, they don't need to prove themselves anymore. And for them to go to the draft, or not the draft, for them to go to the combine, they'd basically just be risking themselves for injury, or like it'd just be kind of like a waste of time. So he doesn't end up doing the combine because a lot of stuff is going on mentally, and he just feels like he can't perform very well. So he skips it. At this point, he feels like, okay, all hope is lost. I'm not going to get drafted anymore, which, from watching it with Cole last night, he was like, that's not true. If he was a first round draft pick, he would have been picked regardless. Like, no matter what he was going through, if he skipped the combine, whatever. If he had played well all season and he was a first round draft pick, nothing would have stopped a team from drafting him. Cameron gets a call from his agent, and his agent says, guess what? Isaiah White, I think it's Isaiah White, the star quarterback of the pro football team, Saviors, this is all made up, by the way. Saviors is not a real team. He wants you to come to his house to train with him and everyone from the Saviors team for a week and prove to us that you can still join the Saviors. The Savers. Cameron is over the moon because of this. He is like super excited. He's like, yes, this is amazing. I'll do it. He goes to his house, and from day one, and I feel like when he reaches the house and all this stuff starts to go down, that's when the movie started to go downhill. Because like I said, at the first part of the movie, you really think like, okay, like we're gonna get into the NFL and what the draft is like and just get to know more about this whole system and process and industry. No. The movie, what the movie's really about, is him training at Isaiah's house for this week. From this point on, like I said, the movie takes a turn and it goes downhill. But it goes down a lot of different hills. Because it kind of can't decide what exactly it wants to focus on. First off, a lot of weird stuff starts to go down at Isaiah's house. There's this weird woman named Marjorie who is like a super fan, but like not in a good way, shows up, tries to kill Cameron, like, and then it's not talked about ever again. Cameron is completely isolated. Weird things go on of like this football player, or like this group of football players that are free agents, they come also to the training because Cameron didn't really show up enough, I guess, on the first day. And Isaiah kind of invites them to like threaten Cameron a little bit. But this one player volunteers for like one of these drills, and he ends up just getting a football, like, oh god, I don't know what that machine is called, but like that machine that like spins really fast so that you put a ball in and it like shoots it out at like a really fast speed. And obviously if you were to stand super close, you would get really hurt if you got hit by that ball. He stands really close, this like random football player, and it kills me because Cameron is supposed to be doing these like throwing drills because he's a QB, so he has to like really aim. And whenever the receiving player doesn't catch it, this player gets a football to the face and like is pretty much getting killed literally from these mistakes. What's funny though is the way Cameron reacts, because it's like this guy's like almost getting killed and Cameron like obviously is like a little bit freaking out, but he really locks in because he's like, okay, I cannot let this guy get hurt anymore on my watch. Fine, the drill ends. He goes over to the football player and he's just like, you good? Like, don't worry. Can we get Marco? Like, just no sense of urgency. He's so calm about it, and he's just like, he's not okay. It's just really weird because at one point, like, we were in the real world and things were making sense, and now we're in this house, and it's like this place that magical things happen in, and there's no question about it. But it just doesn't make sense because Cameron is coming from this real world, has been raised in this real world. So, like, it's one thing if you're coming from, I don't know, exposure to like the NFL industry and like training camps and things like that. Um, and then just going to this. But he's coming from this place where he's like, yes, he was like the star football player, but he's never been like in the industry. Do you know what I mean? It's like, um, how can I better explain it? It's like me going into like celebrity world. Like, I don't know what it's like. And if something freaky were to happen, I would be way more freaked out than someone who's like used to that kind of shit. Anyways, I will say a lot of people have been saying that they love Julia Fox's character. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think she was the best part of the movie because, first of all, she's not there like the whole time. Second of all, because I know Julia Fox as a person, when I see that character, I kind of just see Julia Fox. And to me, I don't know, it was just kind of hard to distinguish between the two. And although, like, I know she was acting and stuff, I kind of felt at the same time that she was pulling a lot from her own real life, which makes sense because she was dating Kanye West for so long. And if you want to compare extremes, like, I could see that extreme being similar to Isaiah's character, who is so extreme and so passionate about football that nothing else comes before it, which is the same way Kanye West is, but is taking it to this extremist level where other people are getting hurt. Anyways, so I didn't hate Julia Fox's character. I just felt like I didn't I didn't see a new character. I feel like I was just watching Julia Fox be a little crazier. Um, Aside from all of that, there's this weird like plot hole I feel because so as I mentioned before, Cam gets hit in the head like very early on in the movie. I think it's like within the first 5 minutes he gets injured and he suffers from this traumatic brain injury. I'm just like so lost on the fact of like why the fuck did we have this traumatic brain injury because we're going in and out of consciousness sometimes, like we're seeing like these hallucinations from Cameron of like weird shit that's going on and like I said in general weird stuff is going on at that house, but then we also see that Cameron's kind of hallucinating stuff. Like there's this scene where this group of paparazzis just come out of nowhere. Obviously they were not there. um it just it's really weird because it's not really it doesn't really become anything after the fact. It just happens like every once in a while to try to like I think introduce that theme of like what's real, what's fake, like you don't really know. But there's no like there's no like real resolution to that. Like you never really get this moment where you're like, "Oh, like I think it was actually all in his head," or "Oh, actually like what's real, what's fake." Very much like American Psycho. Like American Psycho, I think it's clear after like, you're watching it, you're like, "Oh, okay. It's clear that like this guy is an unreliable narrator and you don't really know what's real, what's fake." Which I think yes, to a certain extent Cameron obviously is because of his brain injury, but we don't really get confirmation of that. Does that make sense? Anyways, I feel like they could have done so much more with that of like going into like how brutal and scary being a football player is I mean, seriously, like, what I was thinking also in the back of my head was like, did everyone forget about that movie with Will Smith? Where he's like the doctor who diagnoses and like comes up with the diagnosis of CTE for football players. Like, that movie was insane and was based on a true story, talking about how the NFL basically tried to cover this up and nobody talks about it, which again is because there's so many themes going on, obviously, in real life about the NFL, of the NFL being treated like a religion, and that, it happens on Sunday, and the NFL is just like this huge, ginormous industry that takes care of its players, but not really, because if you're not making the NFL money, then it's like, what use are you of to them? So there's a lot of twisted things that are happening in real life in the football industry that could have been touched on, but I just feel like the movie didn't know what to focus on. Then, of course, because if you really want a cop out, if you're making a movie, just introduce Satan. Like, I swear, like, I feel like whenever a scary movie doesn't really know what they want to do, somehow Satan becomes part of the conversation. And I'm not talking about like The Conjuring or any type of trilogy like that involves exorcisms, because obviously they know what their theme is and they're going with that. This movie, yes, touches on how the NFL and football is a religion, but it also is now bringing in themes of like Illuminati, Satan, that sort of thing, which again, I just feel like is a cop out and is like another way to make this movie scary, or able to be classified as scary. I don't know. I just think it's cheap. I'm like, whenever we introduce like a star or a pentagram, I'm just like, turn this shit off. Like, let's turn it off. Give me the email of the director and let's go back to the drawing board, because I don't want to accept this and I shouldn't have to accept this. Like, there are so many things that you could have done with this movie, and I'm just, now I'm getting frustrated because I'm genuinely disappointed. I wanted to like it so bad, and I think obviously I was duped into thinking that Jordan Peele was the director, so I thought, yes, like, we're gonna go crazy with this. He obviously was not the director. Justin Tipping is the director, and he just produced it. Fair, get your bag, Jordan Peele, I guess. But, like, girl, you have good taste. So, like, at least get your bag with, like, someone who is providing for the family. I don't know. Like, I'm just, I'm so disappointed with that. And it was crazy. What did the movie do well? Overall, the movie looked really nice. I think that was something that called me to the movie, because the trailer was really good and it looked like a really good film. And casting Tyreek Withers was very smart because he's handsome. And I think he was great as a football player. But yeah, I think it's very limited in like what they did right. Something I really, really loved was the scenes of um like the tackling, and like whenever there was like this huge like collision between two different players, they would switch the view and have it be almost like x-ray view. And I really enjoyed that because it was such a different way to see violence, and definitely violence of like tackling and football style violence. So I really enjoyed that because you can tell, obviously, that that sort of impact is very painful and could kill someone if you just hit them the right way. Um, I mean, we've even seen like, I think it was like 2 years ago now, Damar Hamlin, literally his heart stopped because it was just hit perfectly during a tackle and he almost died. So yes, there is no shortage of like, and I know it's funny because now like I'm thinking about there's been a lot of talk about what Taylor Swift said about Travis Kelce and saying, oh, like he's really putting his life on the line, like every day to, you know, do his sport and do his career and his profession and whatnot. And a lot of people were like, okay, Taylor, like you're so exaggerating, stop downplaying like what you do so that his job sounds better, whatever. And I hate to say it, but I am in agreement with Taylor because there are so many ways for football players to get injured, and I mean, I get scared when my husband and I like play tackle and like play around with like football. I get scared, and that man is small. Like, he's a skinny guy. He's not a 300 pound, 6'5" man. Like, that man is not 6 foot. Like, now I'm just dragging him for no reason. But, like, if I'm scared of him coming at me, I can't even imagine a huge linebacker or like whoever the big guys are on the team, them running at you full speed, full like muscles, flexed everything to just shove me to the ground. Like, obviously, like, I would die because I'm small. I'm just so small. So, like, I would obviously die. But I just, I, I don't want to seem like, oh, like, yes, football, like, you're putting your life on the line, you could die every day. Like, of course, there are extremes and it's a spectrum, and, you know, not everyone is at risk of dying, especially depending on like the position that they're playing, but they are definitely at risk of injury every single time that they play. Um, and yeah, I don't want it to seem like that's like so outlandish to say. I mean, it's true. It's a full contact sport, and so many people have CTE because of it, um, or just have had career ending injuries. So, yeah. Anyways, I know I kind of went on like a really long tangent because of that, but yes, the scenes that I really did like were the X-ray vision scenes. Um, I thought those were so creative, and even though they were X-ray, I still felt like how gruesome um, that impact could be. And so I really liked that because sometimes like things can be shown really graphically, especially in the horror genre. And sometimes you get this feeling of like, okay, like, did we really need to show all of this? And obviously, there are movies where you kind of want that, like Terrifier or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But in movies like this, it's not always necessary to show such graphic scenes when you can do it in a creative way, which I really appreciated. Um, how did this movie end? It ended with Cameron's agent exploding. So in editing, I realized I didn't even finish this video, but let me just say my final thoughts. End of this video, it ends with the agent exploding because, like I said, we have this element of Satanism and kind of like Illuminati type thing. They ultimately, the owner, the Julia Fox's character, and the agent of Cameron Cade, they want him to sign a contract to be the new QB for the Saviors. I don't really know if he ended up signing the contract or not. Like, the ending was very ambiguous. I assume he's just gonna take over everything, it seems like, because he just he doesn't really like the I'm left speechless, to be honest, because I don't know where we landed with that movie. I don't know what it ended up trying to say at the end. He just ends up being like, I'm him. And that's it. So, I would give this movie a 2 out of 5, maybe 1.5 out of 5. Um, yeah. Okay. Bye.